Okay, everyone, today we're going to be talking and working on Route 53. As we all know, let me just share my screen. Route 53 is a domain name system service offered by AWS. What is a domain name service? It's usually when we're on the internet, when we go to our browser to search something, you can search, for example, something on the AWS website. You just go and say www.aws.com, or you can just say aws.com, and it will take you to a website. So what actually happens is that there is a service or a server that converts what you have written in a human-friendly way, which is the Amazon or Amazon.com, into a language that the computer is going to understand, which is into an IP, a specific IP address which is the IP address of a server hosting the information you want to find on Amazon.com. So Route 53 is that domain name service for AWS. There are other services like GoDaddy, which do the same thing like Route 53. So what they do is like they translate human-friendly host names to machine IP addresses. So when you type, for example, your Amazon.com, it translates that Amazon.com to a particular address that has been specified by Amazon, which hosts the information that you want to find. So that Amazon.com that you're typing on the browser is what is called a domain, or the domain name. So that domain name is now translated to an IP address in the background. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to see how to create, okay, before we get there, we have what we call a hosted zone. So a hosted zone in Route 53 is like a container for records. A record basically is, a record carries the information that determines how traffic should be routed, either to your website or, how traffic should be routed to your website. So you have a hosted zone on Route 53. You can create a hosted zone, and then you define in that hosted zone the different records that determine how traffic should be routed, which traffic should be sent to which server. If I'm looking for Amazon, if I'm looking for example, learning material on Amazon.com, there should be a record that Route 53 would understand and will route my traffic to get me to the particular server where I'll find the learning material and so on. So we're going to learn how to create the hosted zone and how to create records. And we're also going to see the various policies that you can use while creating records. So there are various policies that determine how the traffic should be routed. It could be a simple policy that says, for example, once this domain name is entered, send the traffic straight to this resource. It could be an EC2 instance. It could be an S3 bucket. Send the traffic straight to this bucket, and the information is going to be gotten from there. It could be a weighted policy, where they're going to be sending the traffic depending on how much traffic is coming, and depending on the weight you have given to a particular resource or a particular server. So we're going to look at all of that. Okay, so maybe we all just log into our AWS console, and we'll start. Let me know if we're all already logged in.
Yes, I'm looking.
Okay. And also for the records, we have different types of records. You can have a record that maps traffic to a particular IP address, which is IPv4. We call those A records, like records of the A type. They map your traffic to an IPv4 address. Then you have the AAAA, that's 4A's record type, which maps traffic to an IPv6 address. You have the CNAME records. The CNAME record maps traffic to another host name. So it means you can you define not a particular IP address, but another, for example, another website where the CNAME record is going to send your traffic to. Maybe if you get into Amazon.com, it might route your traffic to another website called, for example, AmazonLeads.com, just for example, or AmazonVideos.com. You will have created a CNAME record. Okay, so the first thing to do is we are logged into Route 53. You can just go to the search bar at the top here and you type Route 53 and you select the service. You're going to find it here. Just as we are going, if anybody has any question at all, any worry at all, please say it. Ask. No question is foolish. We are all learning. Myself, I'm not an expert. So we are all learning. If you are tight somewhere, let us know and we help you. We can always give you the chance to share your screen and we help you to catch up with all of us. So you search for Route 53. It's going to take you to the dashboard or the user interface for Route 53, which is something like this. Just to confirm that everyone can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. Okay, so if we are all here, under normal circumstances, what you should first do when you're using Route 53 is, okay, you have this website you want to host on AWS, or you have this application you want to host on AWS. So you need a domain name. You need something that people can go to the browser and search for, and they'll be able to access your website or your application. So what you should normally do is you should register domain. Let me see. Please don't do this one because it's going to cost us money. I'm just demonstrating. We are going to start from the hosted zone. Everybody will start from the hosted zone. So let's say I want to start an application. I want to host an application where I'll be selling maybe shoes, for example. And I want people to go and look for fineshoes.com, for example. So I have to register this domain and buy the domain name from a domain name registry. So there is a registrar, some organization at the background, and that processes your request, and then they sell the domain name. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but yes. So for example, I want my website to be called fineshoes.com. So I come to Route 53. I'm going to be hosting this website on AWS. I come to Route 53 and I want to register this name, Fine Shoes. So I write Fine Shoes here, and then I have to search to know if this domain name is available. So I will search here. You see, it says fineshoes.com is not available. Maybe some other person has already bought this name or something. But even though fineshoes.com is not available, they have given me alternative names that I can use here. Maybe I can call it fineshoes.org instead, or fineshoesoutlet.com. So I can select any of the ones that I want. You can see the pricing per year. So when you say, I can select it, and you know, that is why I'm saying we should not do this one, because you have to pay and you need to be precise, certain about what you want to do before you come and buy a domain, register a name here. So I can select, for example, fineshoes.org. I will select it here, and then I'll proceed to check out. When I proceed to check out, I probably have to pay, and then I'll enter my information, my email address, the information of the administrator, the person who is registering this name, and so on. And then I'll have a domain name. So we are not going to do that. We'll just go back here and rather click on hosted zones. Leave side. Okay, so we're going to create a hosted zone. So as I earlier said, a hosted zone is like a container for all my records. And the records carry the information of how I want traffic to be routed in within my application, or from the internet to my application or so. So we need to create a hosted zone where we store all the records for that particular application. So we'll click on this orange create hosted zone button here. And it will take us to this user interface. Are we all here?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to give a domain name. I will not go with the fineshoes.com. Let's use something that is more familiar to us. Let's call it WeFoundCloud. WeFoundCloud Lab. I'll write it as one word. WeFoundCloudLab.com. So this is the domain name. This is a name that if people type on the browser, they should see my application. We are assuming here. Okay, so now that is the name. The description, which is optional, we can just say this is hosted zone for my WeFoundCloud Lab records. Okay, so we've given a name and a description. Now we need to choose whether we want to create a public hosted zone or a private hosted zone. If we are creating a private hosted zone, it means that we want to route traffic only within our VPC. Now, I don't know if all of us are already familiar with the concept of the VPC, the virtual private cloud. It's like your own cloud space on the AWS cloud. So you come to AWS cloud and you segregate your own cloud space. Your resources in your cloud are isolated from those of some other person's cloud. Let me just explain. So I think next week we're going to work with the VPC still. So if you're choosing a private hosted zone here, it means you want to, with this, your WeFoundCloud Lab or all the records that you'll be creating in this hosted zone, they'll just be to route traffic within your VPC. But if you're choosing a public hosted zone, which is what we are going to choose now, it means you can route traffic within and without the VPC. It means that out of the VPC to other VPCs and to other external sources. So, which is the preferable one, because you'll not be creating a website where traffic will be routed only within your VPC. Then how would external sources visit your site? So choose public hosted zone, and we click on create hosted zone here. It's going to create. Let me know if everybody is successful. Did we all succeed to create a hosted zone, please?
Yes. Charlotte is saying something. Charlotte says no. Charlotte, what is no? Did you not succeed or?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Just as I saw my internet went off. I could not connect, so that's why I had to leave and reconnect. So I was still typing with from cloud something, and then I don't know what happened.
Okay, but are you back to the internet now?
Yes, I'm back. I'm back to hosted zone configuration.
Can you be able to share your screen so that it will take you through?
I'm using my phone and I'm using my screen, my laptop to work while using my phone to see what's happening.
Okay, so let me just take you through while looking at my screen.
Yeah.
So creating hosted zone, you have to give a name for your domain name.
So my question is,
yes,
should I give another name, or should I or use the name you're giving on the?
It's just for practice. You can use this same name. After everything, we are going to delete all of these resources.
Okay.
Yeah. Charlotte, maybe just a tip. Sometimes if you are using like your phone and the computer, you can also connect to the computer and then you lower the volume like to the minimum. Let it just be silent. And then if you want to share your screen, you can still share it. But then you can connect to the two devices, connect to your computer and connect to your phone. While watching from your phone, you are doing on your computer, but then you will still be able to share your screen. The trick here is that one of the devices, the volume really has to be low.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So should we give you time to connect with your laptop?
Let me see.
If you have Telegram in your computer, maybe you just
I have
Telegram. Okay, then you go to the link and then you just connect.
Okay.
Okay, apart from Charlotte, did all of us succeed to create this hosted zone? Tamojang, did you succeed to create your hosted zone, please?
Recording in progress. Fine.
All right.
So I'm connected with my computer. What should I do again?
Just lower the volume. Put up the volume of your computer. Or you can put up the volume of your phone. Just put up the volume of one of your devices.
Okay.
Yes. And then you mute the device that you are not using. That the volume is, that you are not using to talk. Is it okay?
It's okay. I think I'm using the laptop now.
Ah, nice.
Okay.
Yeah. There is no echo again, so it's fine now.
All right. So I can just take you through that one without you sharing your screen. So the name of the hosted zone we're using is wifroncloudlab.com. So that's what you type under domain name.
Okay.
Then I think the next feature is description.
Yes.
So you can just describe what this domain name is for of what this hosted zone is for. So what we've just said is hosted zone for the wifroncloud lab records.
Okay.
It's optional anyway, so even if you don't describe it, it's fine. But I think best practice would say you should describe it, because if you're working with several hosted zone, several domain names and hosted zones, you need to know which domain name is for what website or application.
Okay. I've done so.
All right, and then now you choose public hosted zone. So we're explaining that public hosted zone will allow you to route traffic within your VPC as well as out of the VPC, which is what we're going to use. But if you go with private, it means you want your traffic to be routed only
to your private.
inside your virtual private cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you do that, you can click on create hosted zone at the bottom right.
Okay, thank you. Created.
Okay. So we are all at this level now. We can see our hosted zone with wifroncloud lab. Let's click on the zone name and get inside. So this is the hosted zone with wifroncloud lab. We see that when you create a hosted zone on AWS, you have two named servers that are created automatically for you. So what are name servers? I understand name servers to be like the IP addresses of the physical servers that are hosting your application. So somehow, for example, when you type amazon.com on your browser, Route 53 routes the traffic to a particular IP address, but that IP address is the IP address of a physical server somewhere, like a physical machine somewhere where that information has been stored. So name servers, from my understanding, are these two name servers that are name servers are the IP addresses of the physical machines that host your website. Now, these two name servers are created automatically by AWS. This one is the wifroncloud name server. This NS one is it gives you, I think, from my understanding, it helps to how do I say it? It delegates your own DNS zone, your own domain name system zone. Like you are already a user or you've bought a domain name. So when you create it, this NS, the first record here, the NS record that is created here, like it delegates it is a specific zone to you, or a specific zone to your authoritative server, let me say so. And these are the four values, or the four addresses, let me say so, the four addresses that traffic can route to. But the recommendation is that you do not either change or add or delete any of these ones that are created automatically. You do not add them to, you should not also add them to your registrar if you're registering your records. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to create our first record. Remember, a record is carrying the information, or we're going to configure a record in a way that it defines how traffic should be routed. So we're going to create the first record using a simple routing policy. If we look at at this level, the third column here, we have routing policy. These first two records have a simple routing policy. So the routing policy basically is telling Route 53 how it should respond to queries, or how it should respond to traffic that is sent to it. So a simple routing policy tells Route 53 that if traffic is routed to traffic is routed to this record, if traffic is sent to this record, Route 53 should route it to a particular or a single resource. For example, an EC2 instance, or CloudFront, for example, or S3, for example. That's a simple routing policy. But you also have different types of routing policies, which are the different ways that Route 53 is going to respond or is going to route your traffic. So you can have the weighted as in the weight of something, the weighted routing policy. In this case means you're going to define several servers, like you can give the IP addresses of several instances, and you give weights, which are numbers. The higher the number you give to a particular server, the more that server is going to respond to the traffic that is sent. So if you give 3, if you set up 3 servers, the one that has a higher weight is going to respond to traffic more. So the more weight, the more load it carries. And then you can also have latency-based routing policy. The latency-based routing policy, when you use that, means you're telling Route 53 to redirect traffic to the resource that has the least latency, means the resource that is closest to the user or closest to whoever is browsing. So it's redirecting to the least, the resource with the least latency. You can have a failover policy. So if you use a failover policy, you're going to be telling Route 53 that, okay, I have 2 servers, for example. Before routing traffic to any of these servers, you need to check if they're in good health. So you're going to also have health checks. If server 1 is in good health, route traffic to it. If server 2 is in good health, route traffic to it. So you're routing traffic to server 2, or in the case where server 1, the health checks of server 1 has failed. So failover is like redundancy. Then you have the geolocation routing policy. This one is based on the user's location. Like you can tell Route 53 that if traffic is coming from Africa, for example, route it to this particular server. It's coming from Europe, you're routing it to the other server. And then you can also have geo proximity and several other ways. So the first record we are going to create is we're going to create that using a simple routing policy. So we'll click on the create record, the orange button here. And we're supposed to give a subdomain name. I forgot to talk about that. I forgot to talk about the different levels of a domain name. So a domain name, I will just move this so maybe you can see my web browser. Okay, so can you all see what I'm highlighting here?
Yes.
Okay, so we have https://us is one .console.aws.amazon.com. So this one is a fully qualified domain name. But in a domain name, it has different levels. So the .com at the end here is what is called the top level domain or the root domain. So you see, because all of this is part of Amazon.com. So this .com at the end here is the top level or the root domain. Then you have the Amazon from .amazon.com now is the second level domain. And then now from aws.amazon.com now, you call it a subdomain. So we can have subdomains. As you can see, they're asking us to write the subdomain. Our main domain name is wefoncloud.com. So now I want to create a particular record that will route tell Route 53 to route traffic to maybe a specific server. So we need to specify for what reason a traffic should be routed to that particular server that we are going to give the value here. So we're working with wefoncloud.com. Let our subdomain be let me see, knowledge. So it's going to be knowledge.wefoncloud.com. So this is a simple routing. Should I say knowledge, or I should say knowledge base? So if you want to access the page in the wefoncloud server where you know more about wefoncloud, you would have to go to this knowledge base subdomain. So now we are going to leave it, the record type here to be A record type. The A record type, remember, is routing traffic to an IPv4 address and some AWS services. So A record type. So now we need to specify the IPv4 address here. Let us be working with they've given us a sample IPv4 address here. So I'll just use this one, 192.0.2. I'll just say .2. Let me rather do it the other way, .235. I don't know if this is a valid address. Let's just go with a simple one. 10.0.0.1. So this is the value of our IPv4 address where when you want to access knowledge base at wefoncloud, you'll be routed to. So this address actually should be the address of an existing server, an existing virtual machine, let me say so, where you've hosted the information that your users want to access. So each record should have a record name. This is a record name that we've given, which is a subdomain name. It should have a record type. We have chosen the A type. It should have a value, which can be the value of the address, the IPv4 address, or and it should also have a routing policy, and it should have a time to live. So the time to live is how long the information, when a user looks up for information from your website, how long does the server or does the website cache that information? How long does it keep it at close range to the user? For how long does it keep it, so that if several users are looking for that information, Route 53 will not always have to go back to the base server to bring the information to the cloud or to CloudFront, for example. So that's the time to live. So you see the recommended value is between 60 seconds to 1072,800 seconds, which is 2 days. So the higher your time to live, the less traffic that Route 53 is going to need to route, which I think the more performance, depending on how frequent you update your base, your knowledge base. So we're going to leave it at 300 here. And the routing policy, we'll leave it as simple routing policy. You can see the other routing policy options here. So simple routing policy. So we are telling Route 53 that when somebody looks up on knowledge base, route to this specific resource, which is this IP address, and it should be the IP address of the server. So we go ahead and we create record here. So mine was successfully created. And now I can see that I have knowledge base wfoncloud.com as one of my records here. So there is an option to test your records. I am going to just open this in another tab so that when we're testing records, we just go there. So testing your records is making sure that Route 53 has consolidated your configurations. You're making sure that if someone looks up for knowledge base, for example, Route 53 will route traffic to that particular IP address. So we can go to this test record. I want to open it in a new tab. Let me see, it seems not to be possible. Okay, so this is a test record. This is a test record page. We want to test to see if our simple routing policy has been taken into consideration. So we are testing the record name. We are testing is knowledge base. Before I continue, did everyone succeed to create that record?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, Debbie, Charlotte. Boris. Are we there, please?
Sorry, I came late, so I'm just like watching because I cannot follow up anymore. So I'm just listening.
Okay. At least the recording will be there.
Mhm.
Debbie, Charlotte.
I think I did, but I don't know.
We didn't get you, please. At what stage are you?
I think I did. Why am I getting the record? Hold on, let me see.
Okay, Debbie left the call. Maybe because of network.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I got distracted by the
Yes,
children.
I did.
Okay. Just to check if you did right, you can click on hosted zone. When you click on hosted zones here, you're going to see your hosted zone with OnCloud Lab. So if you click on this blue link here, which is the name of the hosted zone, it will take you inside and you see all the records that are in that hosted zone. So for now, we've created just this one record, the knowledge base. So do you find the record you created before we go ahead and test it?
Yes.
Okay. So now when you select, like checking the box by the because we want to test to see if the routing policy has been taken into consideration. So check this box. When you check it, you're going to find test record here at the top. So if you click it here, it will open this. You open this, it give you this user interface. So now we want to test this knowledge base, that is in the record name knowledge base. And the record type that we used was the A record type. So this it stays as A. And then now we want to test to see if actually when I'll click on get response, we'll see the IP address, the IPv4 address from which the response is coming. So I'll click on get response here. And we see that it was successful. There's no error. We were testing this hosted zone, this type. There was no error. And we see that response is returned by route, response returned by route so route 53 has gotten the response from this IPv4 address. So that just testifies that our simple routing is working. And so if actually if that IPv4 address was the IP of a server that we've stored information, then our client or customer, whoever is searching on WeFund Cloud knowledge base, would be able to access the information that we've placed in there. Okay. So that is it about simple routing policy. Any question before we create another record? All right, if no question, let's go ahead now. We're going to create another record with the same type of record with IPv4 addresses, means A type. But now we're going to use a weighted routing policy. Means we'll create more than one, we'll allocate more than one servers to respond to that particular request, and we'll give weights. So I'll go ahead and click on create record here. Now I would say let the sub domain name be videos.wefoncloud.lab. So this particular domain name is for people who want to come to WeFund Cloud website and look at their videos. So we will leave it at a record. The type should stay at a record. But now the routing policy at this level should be weighted, the second option. So now we're going to specify the IPv4 for the first server, 10.0.0.2. Let the time to live still stay at 300. But now the weight, you see the weight can be a number between 0 and 255. If you specify 0, Route 53 stops responding to DNS queries using this record. So we are going to create we are going to specify 3 values. The first one will give a higher weight, the second one a smaller weight, and the third one will give 0. And then we are going to test and see how traffic is being routed. The more we send traffic, the server with the higher weight is going to respond more. So let's say 4. here. The weight here is 4, and we call this video 1. So videos -1. So this is one of the servers that should respond to requests about videos. Are we all at this level?
Yes.
Okay, then we go ahead now. There is an add another record here at the bottom right. We click on it. So we're going to add another record. The same name, videos. The same record type, but now the value changes to 10.0.0.3. So that is the IP address of a different server.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Why the 4? Can we use any other number? Can we use 6, 8?
Yes. You see, you have the number can be between 0 and 255. So you can use any number. So I'm using 4 here, so that 4 is for me is the higher number. I'll give the second server a weight of 2. I could still use 10 and 5. I could still use 10 and 2. If I use 10 and 2, you obviously just the one with the 10 is going to route traffic because it has a very high weight that we've given to it.
Okay.
So this other IP is this. Routing policy, don't forget to choose weighted here. The weight, we're going to put 2. And the record ID, video 2. This record ID is just a means of identifying it's just like a tag to identify the subdomain name. The reason why you created the subdomain name. We're all done for the second record.
Yes.
Then we'll go ahead now and add a third record now. We're going to give the weight 0. The weight 0 means this one should traffic should not be routed to it at all. So we're still going to say videos. So all of this is for videos. The same record type now. The IP should be 10.0.0.4. The routing policy should be weighted. The weight here 0. And then we say videos 3. If we are all here now, we can create records. Okay, mine is successful. So it has successfully created 3 records with a subdomain name videos.wefroncloud, wefroncloudlab.com. So you see that actually all of them have the same subdomain name. It means if anyone browses video.wefroncloudlab.com, any of these servers can respond. But now the servers will only respond depending on how much traffic is being sent. The more there is traffic, this other server is going to respond. So I think the reason for giving this weight is that maybe this particular server that has a weight of 4 should maybe have a higher memory when you're setting it up. If it's an S2 instance, you should have a higher memory and a higher CPU to process traffic more, or to process workloads more as compared to these other ones. Okay. So do we all have our 3 records, videos?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. Zhang, are you okay? Maxwell, Debbie, Boris?
I'm fine.
All right. Okay, so now let's go on and test our record to see if our routing policy and the configuration has been taken into account. So remember, the subdomain name is videos, and the record type is type A. So now we are going to be observing what is happening here to see which server comes up. I'm going to be sending clicking on this get response, and exactly the way Route 53 pops up with the server names here is how traffic is going to is a simulation of how traffic is going to be routed to those different servers. So let me click. It has been sent to the first server, right? Maybe I should, there is no way. I wanted us to be able to see, but the 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.3, and 10.0.0.4. So the .2 is the one with the higher weight, the .3 is the one with the 2 weight, and then the .0, the .4 is the one with the weight of 0. So it has obviously been sent to the one with the higher weight first, the one with the higher weight again, the one with the higher weight again. It probably might not send it to the one with the lower weight, because okay, it has sent it now to the one with the weight of 2. Do you see that it changes to 10.0.0.3 here? Okay, and it
Please,
goes
can you
back.
go one step back?
Okay, so we were here.
Oh, to test the record.
We've created these 3 records, right?
Yes.
All of them are for videos. But now it's how will traffic be routed? How will traffic be routed to these records is based on this policy. So we have given them different weights. This server with the .2 has the higher weight, means that is going to be, the server has been designed, we have configured it to process more requests as compared to this one that has a weight of 2. So if, for example, 50 people are searching on the the videos.wefoundcloud.com web domain name at once, for example, right? So this server that ends with .2 and has a weight of 4 is going to process the request of maybe 30 of those persons, and this one with .2 would process just for like 20. So we have defined that when the higher the traffic, it should be sent more. When there is more traffic, it should be sent more to this server and less to this one. So we are testing it here now to see if it works. So we start by sending the traffic. It goes first of all to the one with the higher one. It stays again with the one with the higher one. So you see, out of 3, just 1 has been sent to this one. Do you get it now?
Yes.
Out of 3 requests, just 1 has been sent to the server that had the weight of 2. out of 4 requests, out of 5 requests, out of 6, out of 7 requests, just 2 are being sent to the one with the lower weight. So we have just defined that more traffic should be sent to the one with the higher weight. And I was explaining that if you do so, then probably when you're configuring, if it's your EC2 instance, for example, it should be of a higher RAM, a higher memory, and a higher processing, a higher CPU value as compared to, so the more workload you want your server to process, the more capacity you give it. And you notice that out of all the 7 requests, no request was sent to the .4 because we gave it a weight of 0. Means that we said no traffic should be sent to it. Is it understood now? Hello. Are we there?
Yeah, you can carry on.
Okay, now we're going to create some other records, and we're going to use the geolocation routing policy. So geolocation will actually tell Route 53 that if traffic is coming from Cameroon, for example, you route it to this particular server. If it's coming from Europe, route it to this one. If it's coming from America, you route it. So we're going to create 3 records still. We'll go ahead and create the 3 records. Let's call this test or tutorials. Tutorials.wefroncloud.com. So we're assuming that, for example, the tutorials for people from Africa is different from the one for people from Europe. This should be the, I think this should be the sense behind it. That should be the reason why you should specify that traffic from a particular location should be sent only to a particular server. There probably should be differences in the content of what is on the servers. So now we have tutorials.wefroncloud.com. That's our subdomain name. So now for the first one, we're going to, let's still keep it at an A record. The IP for this one is going to be let me change it so that maybe 172.32.0.1, and the routing policy here is going to be geolocation. So you see, immediately you click on geolocation, you are asked to choose the location. So we'd say, for example, this is for Africa. I will call this Africa tutorials. We'll keep the TTL to be 300. We'll go ahead and add another record. The subdomain is still tutorials. Is still a record type. This is 172.32, sorry. 32.0.2. The routing policy here, geolocation. And now we'll say this should be for people from Asia, for example. So any traffic coming from Asia should be routed to this IP. So I'll call it Asia tutorials. Then I'll add a third record. Tutorial still. 172.32.0.3. Geolocation. then I'll save. This should be for people from Nigeria, or yeah, I could say Nigeria or Cameroon. Let me choose Cameroon. Cameroon. Say Cameroon. Tutorials. Okay, so we are going to create these 3 records using the geolocation policy. So traffic is going to be routed based on where the traffic is coming from. So we're telling Route 53 that if traffic is sent from Africa, send it to this address. If it is sent from Europe, send it to this address. From Asia, send it to this address. If it is sent from Cameroon, even though Cameroon is in Africa, send it to this 3rd address. Okay, so go ahead and create our records. They were successfully created. We can go ahead and verify. Yes, we do see tutorials, 3 records, and they are of the geolocation routing policy. Africa, Asia, Cameroon. So now let's go ahead and test to see if this actually works. But in order for us to do that, we are supposed to simulate. We are supposed to simulate the address of the DNS resolver for it to be as if it's coming from these countries, because presently I'm not in all of those countries. So I'll go to this website, public dns.info. Public DNS server list. Okay, now click on this. We are going to use this ones. All right, so remember the first one was for Africa. Where do I say continent now? Is there a search button? This is by country. I want to check for continents. I might not have it. But let's go ahead and use Cameroon. So for Cameroon, we can copy any of these DNS resolver addresses. Let me go ahead and show you what we need to do. So here we are testing. This is a test site. We are testing the subdomain name tutorials. Yeah, and there are A records. But now we need to simulate this resolver IP address. We need to put a resolver IP address that indicates that the traffic is coming from one of these countries. Remember, for Cameroon, it is supposed to go to 172.32.0.3. So I will go ahead and copy one of the IP addresses from Cameroon. Copy. It's okay if you just observe this one, and I'll paste it here. And then now I'll try to get the response and see if it comes, if it's the response is gotten from that particular server. Here, and as we see, requests from Cameroon have been sent to the server that we determined, that we configured. So I would have loved to show for continents. I don't know. It's only showing me for countries. Let me go back and see if I have for continents, so that we can do for Asia and Africa. Okay, so here we have Australia, Algeria, South Africa. Yeah, these are for the United Kingdom. But the United Kingdom is in Europe. Let's try to use a server from South Africa and see if it routes the traffic. Oh, I forgot to. Let's just try and see what happens. Let me copy. I had to create another record that would, if you do not specify that, sorry, I had to create another record where traffic will be routed to if otherwise it's not from these 3 countries or these 3 continents that we have specified. But I did not create that. I had to create a default server where traffic from every other place can be routed to. But since I did not specify, let me just paste for South Africa and we see what happens. Oh yeah, it goes to the .1, which is for Africa. You see, so the Route 53 has checked that South Africa is a country in Africa, and so it has routed the traffic to the server that we said is for Africa. Do you see? Yeah, so that is geolocation basically. Okay, so the last kind of record.
Then I was just thinking, like,
Yeah.
did Route 53 detect because there was Africa on it, or did it really just okay, it's intelligent enough to know that South Africa is in Africa? So I was thinking, can you also choose another country in Africa? Let's see if it's going to direct the traffic to that. Yes.
That's right. Let's go with Nigeria and see. Okay, we have Nigeria here. Let's go with this one. What did I copy? Oh, sorry, I copied something else. Okay. I need to deliver this. So this is from Nigeria. Let's go ahead and get response. You see, it stays in Africa still, right? So Route 53 determines that it's a country in Africa.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead with another African country.
Yeah.
Because
I remember that when you were searching by continent, you didn't see it, right? So
yeah,
maybe
I didn't see Asia.
Yes. So maybe you have to always. Yeah.
Singapore is an Asian country, right?
Yes.
Let's do for Singapore and see if it sends it to Asia. Yeah. Paste. And then we get response. Yeah, and exactly it sends it to Asia. We said Asia is 0.2. So it sends it to Asia. So Route 53 determines where the traffic is coming from, and it routes it to the particular server that you've asked it to route to. But also, you cannot also, you will definitely not be able to list all the countries or continents. So that's why I was supposed to create a default. Excuse me. Maybe I should just go ahead and create a default. I will still say tutorials. and I'll give 172.32.0.5, for example, and I'll say geolocation. Yeah, I'll choose default. So this is to say that if traffic comes from any other country apart from the ones that I have specified, it should be sent to this server. I'll go ahead and create this record. Okay, it has been created. So now we can go ahead and look for a country that is not in Africa, it's not in Europe, it's not in Asia. So let's go and choose an American country. We can go with North America. Not America, no. Let's go with America. That is American somewhere. Australia. Okay, let's go with Brazil. Brazil is in South America. If we take this resolver name and paste it here. Paste, let's see if it routes it to 0.5. Exactly, it does. So that is geolocation routing policy in action. All right, are we still there? Oh, we are sleeping.
We're still alive.
Yeah. All right, we're going to create another set of records called failover. So the failover is in the case that we are going to give a primary and a secondary resource. If the Route 53 is going to do health checks. So these resources in this case are going to be EC2 instances. We are going to create one instance, and the primary resource, when the health check is okay, routing is going to be traffic is going to be routed to the primary resource. But if the health check for that primary resource fails, then a secondary resource is going to Route 53 will then route to the secondary resource. So we could create two instances, but in this case, I'm going to create one instance, which is an actual instance, and then we are going to simulate another one by just putting an IP address. So I'll navigate to my EC2 instance and create launch an instance. We just launch the manual EC2 instance. Network is taking its time. Okay, so I'll just call it Route 53 demo. Route 53 demo. Something is wrong with my keyboard. So Route 53 demo instance, let it be Amazon. Okay, Charlotte was saying that she doesn't have she has not done any hands-on launching an instance. Charlotte, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to get to my to create an instance. I'm following up with you. I'm just trying to go to.
You can just search here on the search bar. You see here beside services, you write EC2. If you write EC2, you're going to see this EC2, and then you can click on it.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, when you click on it, it brings you to this interface. No, I think this one. Not here actually. Okay.
Launch instances.
Here. Okay, have you found launch instances?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So by launching an instance is like a virtual server. So a virtual machine on AWS. So the first thing you need to do is to give a name to your EC2 instance. You can name it anything depending on what you want to use the instance for. In this my case, I'm just demonstrating a Route 53 failover routing policy. So I'm just going to call it Route 53 demo server. You can call it any other thing. There's no problem. Demo server. And after you've given the name, the next thing is for you to choose the operating system. So just like in your machine, maybe you're using Windows, you're using Linux, you might be using Mac OS. So that is the operating system that we have to choose here. Since it is a machine, though it is virtual, we also need to choose the operating system on which the machine should run. So in this case, I'm going to choose Amazon Linux, which is the operating system that is offered by AWS. You could choose Mac, you could choose Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Linux server, you could choose Windows and so on. So let's go with Amazon Linux. It's already selected by default. Then you also have to choose, when you choose Amazon Linux, you make sure that Amazon Linux, the image that is chosen is Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. And by it, make sure you see free tier eligible, so that you don't have to pay for this for using this instance. Do you find free tier eligible here?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. And then here also you also have to choose your the architecture of your machine. Is it a 64-bit? Is it a 32? So we'll leave it at 64. And then you choose the instance type. The instance type will determine how much memory and CPU your virtual machine has. So I'm going to leave it at T2 Micro, which is the free tier one. If you click on this drop down arrow, you're going to see several other kinds of instance types, and you can choose either of them depending on what you want to do, the capacity you want your instance to have, but not all of them are free tier. So leave it at T2 Micro. And then the next section here is the key pair. When you're launching an instance and you intend to SSH into the instance, to log into the instance through a secured shell, then you have to create a key pair. So a key pair is like it's like a key that when you want to log into the instance from an external environment, you have to use that key to open a lock, because this instance should not be accessed by everyone. So only the people who have this key pair will be able to access your instance, just like your machine has a password, and only you has a password, or any person who has a password can be able to log into your machine. In this case, I will just proceed without key pair, because I don't, or let me just, you can. Do you have a key pair? Have you created a key pair before? If not, we can just continue without key pair, because we don't intend to. The network settings will just let the instance sit on the default VPC, and we don't specify a subnet of preference, a security group as well. All of these things are not really necessary, because we don't want to do anything with the instance. We just want to make sure that the instance is running and it stops. And when we stop it, we should have the effect that we desire. So you can go ahead and launch the instance. So the instance is running. Oh, it's coming up. Okay, so the instance has been, let's just hold on for it to be launched. It's really taking a lot of time. Okay, now the instance is running. So what we are going to do is we are going to use this IPv4, the IP address of the instance, to create that we are going to include the public IPv4 of the instance while creating our record, so that we know that this is an actual instance. And when you see your instance running, you usually see here, after some time, you're going to see status check 2/2. Means that when we're going to use this instance as a server for Route 53 to send traffic to, Route 53 will have to check if this instance is up and running and it's running properly before it sends traffic to it. If not, it's going to send traffic to the secondary resource. So let's go ahead now. We're back here on Route 53. We want to create a resource for a record name. Let us call it meetings. What do I say? Lectures. Let's just say lectures.withOnCloud.com. So this is still going to be an A record type. Here now we're going to paste the IP address of the instance. In all the other examples that we've been doing, we have just been simulating that they are actual servers, but in this case, this is an actual server. This is the IP address. It's an actual server and it's running. So we're going to go with the failover routing policy here. So the failover record type, this is the primary. So this is the primary server to which traffic should be routed to. Otherwise, if this one fails, there should be a secondary server. So we're going to call this lectures1. Lectures1. The TTL should stay the same. And now for us to do this here, we're supposed to create health checks. So we're supposed to add health checks to this so that Route 53 will know that it has to do health checks for our resources before it determines where to route traffic. So I'm just going to come back here to the Route 53 dashboard, and I click on health checks. And I'll click on create health check. The health check name, I'll just say status check. Status check. What to monitor? It is monitoring an endpoint. We could also choose for it to monitor the status of other health checks. Like this one is monitoring an endpoint, which is our instance. but we could choose for it to monitor the results of another health check, maybe for some other resource. Or we could also choose to monitor CloudWatch alarm, and if the alarm is okay, it can route traffic. If the alarm is in alarm, it wouldn't. So down here, the monitor is, so you have to specify the properties of the endpoint we want Route 53 to monitor. So we're specifying it by IP address. So we keep the IP address. We keep the IP address selected here, and the protocol it should monitor. Okay. I think we need to go back to the instance and go back to the instance security group, and add a security group rule that will allow HTTP traffic. Nobody is asking any question. Is this so easy? So we're adding the HTTP rule to this instance so that the instance allows traffic from the internet everywhere, from every IP address on the internet. And we'll come back here. So the protocol it is monitoring is the HTTP. The address, we have to paste the address of the instance here. That is it. The port for HTTP as default port is 80. So we can now go ahead and create our rule. And create our health check. While creating the health check, you can also configure such that if the health check is not okay, if the health check fails, maybe a notification should be sent to you. So if we click on yes, then we'll have to choose how the notification should be sent. Should it be sent to an SNS topic, an existing one, or a new one? If a new one, we have to create a new topic. And to do this, you should have already subscribed your email to the SNS service. So for now, we'll say no. I'll go ahead and create a health check. So the health check has been created. We'll go back here now and refresh and see. Now we have the status check. So Route 53 is going to send traffic from the lecture subdomain to this server if the server health check is okay. If not, then we're creating a secondary one now. If the health check fails, where does it send traffic to? Let's just simulate an IP address that does not exist again. 172.32.0.0, for example, the 0.7. So the routing policy here is failover still, and now the failover record type here is secondary, and we'll say lectures. So we're saying that we have created two records, two ways by which traffic can be routed from the lecture subdomain to our servers. It can be routed to this primary server, but only if the health check is okay. But if this health check fails, it should be routed to the secondary server. Let's go ahead and create our records. I wanted us to see the health check, to see and know when it is. I don't know if Theo is there. I wanted us to see and know. It is only taking me to create health check, but I want to see the health check I've already created. Okay, yeah, this is it now. So it already says unhealthy. Okay, let's use this. We've created a health check, status health check. And the health check is already saying unhealthy. What does this mean? This means that when we go to test our records, traffic will not be routed to this EC2 instance that we have created, right? Because the check is unhealthy. Let us go ahead and test it and see. Let's go ahead and test it and see. So I'll go back here. I want to go ahead and test the records. So click on test record. The record name we're testing now is lectures. And the A record. So if the health check of the instance is good, it will send it to the IP of the instance. Otherwise, it will send it to the 172 or IP. Let's go ahead and see. So we see it sends it to the 172.0.7 IP address. And that is evident because from here we already see that the instance is unhealthy. I don't know why the instance is unhealthy. I probably have not put the right security group rules. But the instance is unhealthy here. So that is why traffic has not been routed to that instance. I hope that is understood. Let me see. If we can fix the instance and see if traffic is routed to it. Probably because I didn't add a key there. Yeah, you see the configurations of the instance are not okay. You see we cannot reach the instance from the internet, right? And this is the health check that Route 53 was doing. So since this is not possible, it doesn't send traffic to that instance, and that is why it sends traffic to the alternative address here. Okay, so that is it about records and traffic routing. Does anyone have a question? I've seen the different routing policies and how they play. All right, if no one has a question, then I will do the last demonstration, which is creating an alias record. An alias record is a record that maps when you create an alias record, it points to another host name. So it can point to an AWS resource, for example. So if we create a resource, when we create an AWS resource like an S3 bucket, instead of using an A record that we are supposed to use, but an IPv4 address. Remember, a record maps traffic to an IPv4 address. An S3 bucket does not have an IP address. It rather has a name. So I'm rather going to use that bucket URL and map the traffic to it. So we can go ahead and I don't know if this is too much and we are not following anymore. We can stop and then we continue next week.
I think we are just, since we have the recording, I think we should just continue. And then by next week, we'll be able to go back to our notes read and then try to do the labs and then come back on that day. On Tuesday, we'll be able to explain or ask questions. We'll try it again, do it, watch the video and try do the lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just demonstrate for creating an alias. It's true, we're already over the time, but we started a little bit late. So I'll go ahead and create an S3 bucket. I think I already have an S3 bucket. So I'll just use the bucket settings. So since we're not talking about creating an S3 bucket today, I will just, this is an existing bucket that I had created. Let's go ahead and see the properties of the bucket so we can use the URL. Okay. So we have to, if we're using the bucket as an endpoint or as a host name, then it should be a bucket that is whose objects are publicly accessible. So to make sure of that, we are first of all going to enable static website hosting. To enable static website hosting, so the S3 bucket is hosting a website. All of what I'm doing now, we're already done in the previous S3 lab session. So I just want to be able to copy the URL, which is here. So when I enable static website hosting, I'm able to have the endpoints that I can then use as a host name for traffic to be, let me copy the whole thing, for traffic to be routed to. So let's say you're not hosting your apart from hosting information on servers, you also have some images or maybe some documents on S3 that you want your users or those who are visiting your website to access. So in that case, you're going to create a CNAME record, an alias record. So let me just call these images. And here you see, I would enable the alias. So if I don't enable the alias, I will need to put but an IP address here, because an A record, basically, it maps to an IP address. But now I don't have an IP address for S3. I rather have an endpoint. And you see, so they said I should put the endpoint. I need to choose the endpoint, and it's the endpoint for an S3. So I'll choose alias for an S3 endpoint. The region, US East 1, that is where I created the bucket. US this one, Northern Virginia. The routing policy, let's leave it at Okay, yeah, I need to enter the S3 endpoint. Let's leave the routing policy to be simple. Then I need to enter the endpoints here. So the S3 endpoint is S3, that's the name of the endpoint. Okay. So yeah, so I'm saying that when somebody visits images.wefundcloud.lab.com, they'll be directed to this S3 bucket where they can access the files. So I can then create this record. Use, so okay, I need to put it in quotes. Yeah.
Hello, Tatiana.
Yes, still.
Yeah, the codes, remove those codes. And click elsewhere, let's see. Wait, not an S3, something similar, type similar to the following. So what is missing? S3 website. Dash, not dot.
Okay.
I think, really? Yeah, click
It's
on.
still website that US. Okay. It is
No,
still
put the dot back, put the dot back, let's see. Yeah, click on use that website. Where did you get this? Let's go back to, wait, yeah, you copied it from here, right?
Yes, I copied from here.
Okay, copy again, let's see. Just click on copy.
So I copied the whole thing.
Then delete the first part. Wait, did you make the bucket? Wait. No, yeah, delete that. Then click on use that. Not a valid S3 endpoint type.
Yep, an endpoint similar to this. I just enabled static website hosting. I didn't check on the ACL. Could that be the problem?
Wait, no, this is not the lab where we do. Check again this region, let me see. Wait.
The region. Let me see the region here. It's US. US, this one.
No, it's EU London.
Let me see.
EU West.
Okay, yeah. We EU West too. That is right. I just assumed. I had created this bucket a long time ago. Okay. EU West to London.
And now they can. Okay. No.
Read properties of undefined reading.
Okay. Try again. Try again. It
Okay.
was still having what? Okay. Maybe there are spaces around the name. So wait. Up here, what was it? This alias to S3 endpoint. Well, okay. Can you click down. Drop down the first, no, not that one.
This one.
This is an A record. And what's the value? Oh, you said it's an alias. Okay, sorry, I didn't.
What did I want to say?
Amazon.
Would it be okay? Let me just go back to. Let me go back and let's edit here. Because I added a 404. Could it be this one?
Okay, I'll just put the HTML there. I don't expect it to be an issue, but it's fine.
Let me try
So,
again.
with
Another properties
of undefined trim. This is strange. With something, no, something is. Can you scroll up on the page? No, remove the error message. Something is probably empty somewhere. Can you scroll down? Okay, wait, try also like make sure that there are no spaces around images here. Okay. Okay, let's go down. There's no other place that you type something.
No, there's not. This is all that I've inputted here on this page.
Maybe you refresh, like go back and enter and come again. Now that you know that you have to choose the right region, not close. Okay, you're refreshing. Okay, images. Careful. It's fine when you click use that.
Yeah. Now it has created. Probably just wanted me to refresh.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you miss the region before, I think some other things got messed up. Yeah. Okay, I guess the lab is going well then. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the last demonstration anyway.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Where is the record? The alias. Okay.
You would see it indicated it would be an A record, but that would indicate somewhere that is, oh yeah, that's it, right?
Yes, this is it.
There's a column to identify yes, that means alias.
Yes, this one. That's the one. Okay. Everyone has been so quiet anyway, so I've just been there with Charlotte.
Sorry that I got easy on a call.
Yeah, done.
But
what I didn't succeed is I wasn't able to find we were not able to find the DNS resolver IPs for continents, but however we used countries from those continents and it mapped it routed the traffic to the right server.
yeah,
so
I mean there would not be any DNS resolver for say Africa, because I mean there's no one governing body or somebody saying I'm resolving for the whole Africa. Usually people try to target a particular location, and also the idea of having one server for the whole Africa is not also productive or efficient. So it's better to have one located in a particular country. Maybe if you're going to do for the whole Africa, you should do 4 in different parts of the continent. So you locate one, say, in Tanzania, another in Kenya, another in Senegal, or however you want to distribute them so that they are at least closer to your customers, most of your customers. So yeah, but it was sufficient to use any random country within the continent. Yeah, it would work. That's fine that you did so.
Okay. Hi, Charlotte, are you there?
Yes, I'm here following up.
So Charlotte came today and is participating a lot more.
Yes, Charlotte is participating well.
Okay,
So I think this is yes, please go ahead.
Is it Lena that is speaking? Charlotte, was this one scary? Did they scare you away?
No, not not really.
Yeah. No.
At least
Tatiana is very capable of that, okay? So I'm just making sure she didn't.
At least I've kept something in my head, you know.
Okay.
And
No.
with the recording, I think I'll be able to go through it, try it, and then before the next lab, I'll be able to, have something.
So just so you know, the recording is available just 3 days after it is the link is provided on Zoom on the group. So try to download to your local machine as soon as possible.
Okay, I'll do so.
And yeah, Tatiana, maybe you clean up before.
I'll just go ahead and clean up before I stop the recording.
So how do we? Because I also have to clean up my.
Okay, so we'll have to delete the records first, and then we can delete the hosted zone. When deleting the records, you delete all the records that you remember. I said we don't have to. It's recommended not to add or delete or remove any of this automatically created name servers. So we'll go ahead and delete all the records that we created, and then we can
before you delete your host name, you must first delete all records. Okay.
Yeah, so you delete all the records. So I checked this.
So I have to check all the records and delete.
Check all, and then when you check all, you uncheck the first and the second one, the start of authority and the name server. You uncheck those ones.
Okay, the name server and the start. Okay. And
okay.
And I've checked.
Uncheck.
I've unchecked the name server
and the start of SOA.
Yeah, SOA. Okay. Okay.
Then you can click on delete records, and it will delete all the records.
Okay. Record successfully. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Then now we can go ahead and delete this zone, the hosted zone. You have to type delete to confirm the delete.
Done.
Okay. Did you launch the instance?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and terminate the instance.
Okay.
You go to the instances. And you click on instance state. You can click.
Should I stop the instance or terminate the instance?
Terminate it. Terminate is you're completely deleting it. If you stop it, means you intend to come back and use it.
Okay, successfully terminated.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. As for the S3 bucket, you didn't create, right?
I have an S3 bucket.
Okay.
I think
Make sure it is make sure it is empty. If
it's
you're not
empty.
using,
It's
yeah,
empty. It's empty.
Yeah, so that's fine. I can go ahead now and stop the recording.
Okay. Thank you very much.